Hey everybody, welcome to video 3 of our Prep for Israel video series. I've actually been really excited to get to this one because I honestly think this is kind of a new way of thinking and a new experience that most of you are going to have for the first time. And I can't wait to walk through it with you in that way when we go, because I think it will be something you don't get, honestly, in a lot of places, especially places where Americans tend to tour and vacation and go to. This definitely is an opportunity for you guys to experience something unique to this area, especially. And so we're going to talk today just a little bit about being a Christian in a non-Christian country. Okay? Now, let's make this very, very clear. It is not non-Christian as in it is dangerous or violent for Christians to be there by any means whatsoever. It's not. But it is not a Christian-dominated country like so many European countries, the United States, all these other places that you tend to go to for vacations. For the most part, you may go to Mexico and you think, wow, it's a whole different culture down here. But it was still founded with the tenets of the Catholic Church for the most part. Obviously, there's some native religions in that area and things you may run into, the Aztecs, the Mayans, things like that. But it's the Catholic Church. And when you go to Europe, all of those countries, for the most part, are Christian-dominated type countries. Israel is not that. And we're going to talk just a little bit about what that means to us going there as Christians and kind of how that is going to affect what we do, how we do it, and things like that. So, first of all, let's get into the nitty gritty. There are 4 major religions that call this place home and have a different percentage of, depending on where you go in the country, definitely a different percentage of population. But I can tell you that Christian is always the minority. It is always one of the lowest ones. Okay, whether we are in the West Bank and Bethlehem, where there is less than 1% of the population is Christian, or if we are in Jerusalem or up in Galilee, where it's maybe, I'm going to say closer to about 15-20%. There will be more, and it is even more accommodating, but it is not necessarily the majority by any means. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit about how Israel's kind of set up and what it is. The nice thing about Israel is for being a incredibly disputed land. Okay, we've talked about that. You can turn on the news any day and see the disputes that is going on between the Jewish, the Christian, and the Muslims in that area, all having a claim to this being their holy city. No one is right, no one is wrong. It is all of these major religions. And they've kind of come up with these things. They've been fragile, they've been tentative, they've been kind of, but they're agreements. Okay? We're going to start all the way back in one that is probably the most noticed, and it's a great story, is what's known as the status quo. Okay, the status quo was a agreement that was made over these 9 different sites across Israel between the major religions, especially between the different Christian denominations, as to who's in charge, what are we doing, how are things taken care of. The most noticeable that you will see is probably at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Okay, there are 5 major Christian denominations that call the Church of the Holy Sepulchre their home, that have a presence in the building. Okay, there's a lot of really interesting things about it. Basically, instead of fighting over this area, they came up with this kind of tentative agreement known collectively as the status quo. And it is for them all to share the space. Okay, and that sounds lovely and wonderful and friendly and all these things. But the truth of the matter is it's actually kind of rough. It is known that, like, if a chair was placed here in 1757, when this agreement was cast, there will always be a chair right here. No one will question it. No one will move it. They have different sections of the church that they are responsible for cleaning, or they are responsible for taking care of. And you think, oh, well, maybe someone wanted to dust this other section that's not necessarily theirs. And that would be an awesome thing for the church to be able to share in those responsibilities and do those things to kind of help each other out. No, if you cross over that line, it is seen as an act of aggression. And it is not friendly when that happens. Okay, the most noticeable thing, and I hope our tour guide points it out to us, but on the outside, where as you're about to go into the entrance, right above the door to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, there's a little balcony up there that has a ladder. And I'm going to try to put a picture of it. I have a couple great pictures of it up above the door as I'm talking here, that you can see this ladder that sits up there. That ladder has sat there since 1757. It was a worker's ladder that was placed out there, and when they went through the church to write down where everything was, it was noted that there was a ladder on that balcony. Therefore, as long as the status quo is a part of the agreement, that ladder will be there. Now that ladder has rotted away and they've had to replace it over the years. It's the exact same looking ladder. It's exactly the same look, always that same ladder. And that is wildly important to these people. The ladder, of course, is symbolic more than it's anything else. It shows that the agreement is still in place. And, you go in, and sure enough, if one group decides to come through and do, an incense cleansing or burning or whatever, and they walk through, the other groups will come right afterwards to do theirs as well, because they all don't want to be shown up by the other sections. Okay? This is true of several different places, and basically it's because there's that dispute in Christianity, even in Christianity, between who has the right to this place. Okay, there's other places. Okay, the other most notable between religions is the Temple Mount. Okay, the Temple Mount and the Western Wall obviously are side by side. The Western Wall is the foundation. The Temple Mount sits on top, and the Golden Dome sits up on top of the Temple Mount. Now, we don't have a temple up there anymore. And the Jewish people are not allowed to go up there and worship. Now, they can go up and visit, they can see it, they can tour it, they can do all the things, but because that is a holy site to the Muslims, they go through, and we will go through, a security measure to get there. We'll go through metal detectors, and they'll know we're a tour group, so we'll go right on through. But if you are a Jewish person that just wants to go up there, you got to explain why. And it's not to worship, and it's not to be a part of it. So for the most part, the Jewish people then just kind of stay off of the Temple Mount, and that's why they go to the Western Wall. It's allowed for them to be there. That's where they do their worship. That's where they do their time with God, is down at the Western Wall, because the top is controlled by Muslims. Again, it's an agreement. Is it everybody's favorite agreement? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. However, it's the way things are. The other thing that I personally really enjoy about Jerusalem is, for the most part, Jerusalem is a very modern city. It is still the capital. It's where the government, the courts, all those kind of things would be. It's similar to like our Washington, D.C. It's where the government is housed. But that's all in the new city. You go down to the old city, and the old city is, of course, where the wall was and everything's in there. It's actually been quartered off. And when we go and visit, we will hit all four quarters. We will walk through the different areas. But it has been split up unevenly it's not actual fourth, but it's still close. There's a Christian quarter, a Muslim quarter, a Jewish quarter, and an Armenian quarter. Those four quarters are centralized to that faith. Now, not everybody that lives there is that person, but that's where if you want to go to a Jewish-run business, you want to get Jewish memorabilia, you need to get Jewish supplies, you need a new menorah, or you need a new prayer cloth or something, you go to the Jewish quarter. The people that work there may live other places, but that's where the Jewish people work. Same with the Christian quarter. It's where if you're going to find a cross or a rosary or something like that, you need to be in the Christian quarter because that's where that kind of stuff is. It's really fascinating. It's really kind of interesting that these groups, that while the news is always that things are so tough and things are between each other, and of course we hear about Gaza and what's going on between the Palestinian, the Muslims, the Arab Muslims in Gaza and the Jewish-controlled state of Israel, there's a lot of tension. Despite the fact that the state is Jewish-controlled, they still don't have control of the Temple Mount. These are agreements that have been in place for hundreds of years at this point, and Christians are definitely at the low end of that spectrum. They care much less about the Christian population being there than anything else. Now, they want us to come. They want us to visit. They want it to be our holy city too, because of the tourism, because of the money that comes behind it. They're not going to exclude anything. We are who they want there. They just don't want us to become the majority in the country. And these kind of things are in place to protect that. So I know we're going to talk about it later, probably in our live chat just a little bit when we go through our packing list and things like that. But I'm going to encourage you guys, they're not anti-American by any means. They know who we are. They know what we're doing. There will, of course, be people. I remember walking through an area and being kind of, I don't want to say accosted, but shouted at from a protester that was in the mall that we were just happened to be going through. And, he was not saying kind things about us as Americans, nothing that concerned us. It was just, oh, you rich capitalists and things like that. But he didn't like us. We're going to get some of that. You're going to see some of that, and that's okay. We're not in danger. We're not going to be in any problems or anything like that. But these are definitely places that are not necessarily friendly towards the United States of all things. Of all the Christians, the United States are currently probably the least popular among us in that area, depending on who you talk to. So, I encourage you guys, as you start thinking about what you're going to pack and how you're going to pack and things like that. I'm not saying we have to hide that we are American, that we are here for the religious aspect. I would recommend not wearing Second Amendment shirts and, big American flag or Trump 2024 shirts. Things like that are just going to draw attention to that kind of political stuff. In the same way, I would recommend, if you got a pair of camo shorts, I wouldn't recommend wearing camo, just for the simple fact that there is a military presence. It's not something that we want to cause anything to happen or cause something to be focused on us. And again, it's not about being scared. It's not about danger. It's not about things like that. But we don't want to make ourselves a focus. And there are so many ways that can happen. And in a country where we would definitely be the minority, we don't necessarily need to come there waving American flags and singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Okay, there are better ways to do what we're doing. And that's really what the whole point of this little video kind of is here is, number one, it's all about respect. You don't have to like the Muslim faith. You don't have to like the Jewish interpretation, but you have to respect it while you're in that country. You have to understand that there will be traditions that we will follow, whether you believe in them or not. When you go to some of these places, you will have to put a head covering on. Do we think that is important as Christians? No, we don't. But the Jewish people do. And we're going to respect that culture. And we're going to do that out of a sign of respect, to say we're coming not as someone who's coming to put ourselves out there or to try and promote Christianity. We're coming in respect to the place, to who is in control, and to all the faiths that are present there. And we're going to do it the right way. We have to remember that these are holy sites. Even some of the ruins we go to that aren't necessarily active sites, we are going to always be respectful, 100%. This is not a time for us to judge or question or push in any other faith. This is about self-discovery. We will have our time to talk about things in the evenings. If you have questions, concerns, experiences while you're there, that'll be the best time to do that. It won't be while we're at the site going through security, trying to access a place. they will not let us access it if we are rude, condescending. I hate to use this expression, but overly American. We have a reputation, and that reputation is earned by the worst of the worst, the people that have come and made this a problem. We don't want to be those people. We are going to a place, like I said, that we are not the majority. We are not the ones in charge. We are not the ones in control. So for us to be there, we are going to show the utmost respect. No matter what your personal thoughts are, we respect everyone who is there. The Muslims, the Palestinians, the Gazans, the Jewish people, anyone and everyone that we are going to encounter. No matter what your political beliefs are, no matter what you think is going on is right or wrong, left or right, I don't care. This is not about any of that. And there is nothing that we are going to do or that you are going to do that will cause any sort of positive change. The only thing that will happen is negative. And we don't want that to happen. Okay? Our tour guide will most likely not be a Christian person. They will be coming educated in the Christian perspective, but there aren't a lot of Christian tour guides. And, I know our tour guide when I was there, Ezra, was a devout Jew. He was, modern Jew. He wasn't Hasidic or anything like that, but he was, it took us probably 4 or 5 days before we recognized that he was not Christian because of his advanced knowledge of the places, of Jesus, of all these things. It was a sign of respect to us that he wasn't trying to push the Jewish thing or going to these sites and saying things like, this is where Jesus supposedly walked if you think he's that special. No, he had a great reverence for what we were doing, for our faith, for what we were believing. And it didn't affect him in the least. That's the way I want to be towards everyone that we encounter. So get that in your mind. Start thinking about that. Start doing that kind of prep work in your own heart, in your own head, that for maybe the first time, you're going to be in a place where your beliefs are looked down upon. Your beliefs are the minority. There will be less allies in that realm than there has been probably anywhere else where you have gone. Okay, some of you may have traveled other places that have that experience, and that's cool. But this is going to be a first for a lot of people. It was eye-opening to myself. I didn't recognize it as I went the first time until you start meeting these wonderful, wonderful people. The locals, the tour guides, the people that you were running into in the street. They were all so lovely, so accommodating, so wonderful. They did not share my beliefs, and it didn't matter in the least to them. That's the trip we're going on. It's a trip of respect. It's a trip of reverence. And it's a trip where we are going to push ourselves into an area that a lot of us haven't ever been to before. And I can't wait for you guys to experience that. I think it deepens our own faith. When you are in the minority and you are starting to have these questions about your own faith, and you look around and there's so little to help you, to back you up, to lean on, and you got to stand on your own faith, that's a pretty powerful thing. That's a great opportunity for you to grow as a person, for you to grow in your own faith. And like I said, I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I didn't say this at the beginning, but I do want to add, obviously these videos are going to continue to come. This one will drop sometime here in April as it is being filmed, and I just have to do some editing and get everything together. I love doing this. I love sharing this with you guys, even if you're not going. I love to be able to share this information, and you're just here interested in what we have to do. Okay, once again, our trip is in 2026. We are now 11 months away. I encourage you all to get your deposits in. If you need that link to get those deposits in, it will probably be in this email. If not, I will put the website up across here to make that connection. It'll be my Canvas site down at the bottom. There'll be a box for you to go into that says register for this trip. You can go there. It'll go directly to the Gate One site. It is a $300 deposit for now. Please get those in as soon as possible and share this video. Talk to other people. I want this trip to happen so much, and we need those 20 people to sign up as soon as we can. so that we can guarantee that this trip happens and that we are beginning to grow this trip more and more. I'm going to start talking a lot more about it now that we're within the year, trying to get to some places to share the trip. I want you to also be talking about how excited you are to your friends, your families, to let them know. I would love to take them. And if you think they would love to come, if you know someone in your life that you think would love to be on this trip, please reach out to them. Reach out to me. I'll be happy to reach out to them myself. I think this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And almost everyone that I've talked to that does this trip or does an Israel pilgrimage in this way has talked about how it is absolutely life-changing. Whether they are, 18 years old or even 15 years old for the very first time getting out there, or they are in their 60s or 70s, it is life-changing. And I want that for everyone that I encounter. I want this faith to be so real to you, so powerful to you. And I believe the only way that we can ever experience that is to go to these places and truly see through the eyes of Jesus, walking in the steps of Jesus, and the forefathers before that. To know those Bible stories and sermons that you hear on Sunday, have a picture in your head to qualify those. It's amazing. Thank you all for watching this, for sharing this. Like I said, continue to share the video. Check on your friends, send them to. If you are sick of these videos, let me know. I will take you off of my mailing list. If you are still on my mailing list and you are planning on going, get your deposits in. I need those deposits as soon as possible. Thank you all for paying attention to me for another 20-minute video. I swear one of these days they'll be shorter, but I love this place so much I could talk all day. So thank you guys all so much for this, and we will see you next month.